Good morning, YouTube viewers and subscribers. It's January 1st, 2020, and Happy New Year to everybody. And a couple of days ago, maybe it was yesterday or the day before, a couple of last-minute packages arrived that would appear to be gifts from some friends of mine, viewers and subscribers. The first one is from a really good gentleman. His name is Mark, and he had this copy of American Model Engine Encyclopedia. Now, I believe this is volume 1, even though it doesn't say volume 1 on it, but it goes 1911 to 1975. And this is just an incredible resource for those looking at, model engines. It doesn't tell a whole lot about them, but it does give you a little bit of general information about all sorts of engines. Now, Mark is also the same friend that sent me this book probably, I don't know, a year and a half ago or so. Now, this one does say volume 2 on it, and it's from 1935 to 2015, so it's weird because there is some overlap here. But I've got a piece of paper marked in here because I just thought this was odd and rather appropriate for what's happening in my life right now. And the very first page shows, let me zoom in here a bit, shows the Avatar Predator 424, which is what the Conley 120 became after Gary Conley sold the rights to that. So, and this volume goes in alphabetical order, so that's why this is at the front page. But then if I turn here to another page, you can actually see the Conley. And this is the engine that I've got here, Conley 4-stroke. 1988 1.2 cubic inch glow, developed by Gary Conley as a prototype for the K&B 4-cycle. When K&B decided not to go into production with it, Conley produced them under his own name. Investment castings, dual overhead cams are belt driven from the rear, webs on the front, shaft housing resembling K&B styling at the time. Note, this design became an Avatar 4-stroke in 1991. All molds and features were later modified into a less successful design. So that's interesting because that says that the Avatar was less successful than the Conley, and Conley, if he sold it in 91, so it was only 88 to 91, and with the Conley that I've got being serial number 81, it was probably one of the earlier ones. But anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting and kind of fit this particular gift. Now, the next box I got from a friend, customer, that has, I worked on an engine for him. Apparently he really likes my channel. I'm going to read the note he sent to me. Dave, first I want to re-emphasize how much I've learned about RC engines from watching your YouTube channel. It's a blast, but can also be a curse, as now I want to tune up all my engines like Dave does. Well, there's really nothing special about the way I do it. It's just, I just do it, and it's years of experience and stuff. It's really not that tough, and hopefully you're learning how to do that too, Paul. Moving on, I've been downsizing my planes and engines, even though I still have 2 quarter-scale planes, a Sig Cub, and a Balsa USA Newport 28. That sounds pretty cool. I've been trying to sell a few 92-stroke engines and 4-stroke engine or swap for a 40, 60 size planes with little success. That said, please accept this Sato 120 with no strings attached or expectations in return. It probably needs a good cleaning and possibly bearings, but it's in a better home with you. Looking forward to watching a video of it. Here you are. P.S. I ran across an OS 15 LA carb that I'm throwing in as a stocking stuffer. Have a great New Year. Thank you very much, Paul. And this is what Paul sent me. When I opened this up, my eyes just kind of went, wow, what the hell? Because this is the box of the original FA 120S engine from probably the late 80s, maybe 88, 89 time frame. So let's look at the packing, take the packing material out of here, and inside this box is the engine. It's got a flex exhaust on here, which is always kind of a cool thing. I've never really used or seen one of these, although this exhaust will work on this engine. This is not the stock exhaust that came with this vintage engine. This exhaust came with later models of the 120. And here's that carb, OS 15 LA carb, new in package. So that's pretty cool. And here's the engine. I don't think there's anything under here. Wait a minute, there is something under here. Oh wow, check that out. Okay. The Saito decals. That's pretty damn cool right there. What's this? Safe engine operating. Okay, so quick and dirty thing here. So here's the Saito 120S. Now, I used to have one identical to this, but it was a dual plug version. This is not the dual plug version. But the big difference between this version of 120S and the later versions that were made up till just recently is basically this intake manifold. When you see this curved intake manifold like this, that indicates it's one of the earlier Saito 120s. Not the first iteration, because the first iteration 120 had a fat head. It was a big fat head. I call it the fat head. And it had a screw-on header like the more modern recent ones do. So this has got two O-rings that seal, and that's how it's sealed there. The carb is pretty much standard and the same. So let's see here. Our carb operates freely. And it looks like our header is free. Looks like we got a little bit of damage here on the exhaust threads there, but we should be okay there. I'm just going to go ahead and just leave this off. There's not a plug in here. Probably. Okay, so even with my finger plugging that hole, there's absolutely no compression. So this engine definitely needs some TLC. Looks like the prop hub has been gripped on numerous times with some pliers. And I don't know the history of this engine. I think that is just stuck on here. It's not supposed to be like that. But clearly this engine is going to need some TLC. Could have a compressed ring. I've already got a set of bearings on hand for this engine. So I guess my next step would just be to start disassembling this engine and figure out why we have no compression and see what all is required to get this running. So Paul, I want to thank you very much for this gift, because I did have one of these exactly like this, like I said, with this box, dual plug, and I sold it about 6 or 8 months ago because I already had another 120 and I didn't really need both. So this is kind of cool. I'm going to take care of this engine and get it running, and hopefully here in the next few weeks or so you'll actually see this engine running on the stand. So I want to thank both Mark and Paul for these items that I will use, extensively. So thank you all for watching, and thank you, Mark and Paul, for these gifts.